The Young and the Restless spoilers. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that trouble may be quietly building between Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott, and although their relationship has looked passionate, hopeful, and full of promise on the surface, recent events may be exposing cracks that neither of them can ignore for much longer. Sally and Billy have never been a simple couple. They are both ambitious, emotional, stubborn, and deeply shaped by their past mistakes. That is part of what made their connection so exciting in the beginning. They understood each other's hunger to prove themselves. They knew what it felt like to be judged, underestimated, and dismissed by people who believed they were destined to repeat old patterns. For a while, that shared sense of rebellion seemed to bring them closer. Billy made Sally feel seen, respected, and supported, while Sally gave Billy the kind of belief he often struggles to find from his own family. But now, as business pressure increases, Jill Abbott's presence grows heavier, and Kane Ashby's role at Chancellor creates new complications. The same qualities that once pulled Sally and Billy together could begin pushing them apart. The latest developments show Sally becoming increasingly frustrated with Billy, and that frustration may not come from one huge betrayal, but from a series of smaller disappointments that slowly pile up until they become impossible to dismiss. This week, Billy revealed to Jill that he knew she was the top investor behind Spectra Charles Communications, even though Sally had clearly expected him to keep that information private. Sally had trusted Billy with something important. She had opened a door that she probably would not have opened for just anyone, and she expected him to understand the weight of that trust. Billy did not exactly run to Jill with the secret, and he did try to stay quiet at first. But when the conversation with his mother became tense, he allowed himself to get pulled into the argument. That is the kind of mistake Billy often makes. He does not always intend to cause damage, but when emotion takes over, he can say too much, push too hard, or defend himself in a way that creates a bigger mess than the one he was trying to escape. To Billy, the moment may have felt unavoidable. To Sally, however, it may feel like proof that he still cannot separate his personal impulses from the promises he makes to her. Jill appeared to take the revelation calmly, at least on the surface. But that does not mean the issue is over. Jill Abbott is not a woman who forgets information once she has it, and she is certainly not someone who ignores a business advantage. Even if she does not explode immediately, Sally may still worry about what Jill will do next. If Jill begins questioning her investment, interfering more aggressively, or using her position as leverage, Sally could find herself in an increasingly uncomfortable place. Spectra Charles Communications is not just another business project to Sally. It represents her attempt to build something that belongs to her, something strong enough to stand on its own without being defined by her mistakes, her romances, or the people who doubted her. If Billy's loose handling of a private matter puts that dream at risk, Sally will not be able to simply smile and move on. She may love Billy, but love will not erase the fear that he could become a liability at exactly the moment she needs stability most. That is where the emotional conflict becomes much more serious. Billy may believe Sally should understand that he was under pressure with Jill, but Sally may see the situation differently. She may ask herself why Billy could not keep one promise when it mattered. She may wonder whether this is only the beginning of a pattern that will keep repeating itself throughout their marriage. Billy's relationship with his mother is complicated, and Jill has always had a way of getting under his skin. When Jill pushes, Billy reacts. When Jill challenges his choices, Billy becomes defensive. When Jill questions his judgment, Billy often tries to prove himself so intensely that he ends up making careless moves. Sally has seen enough of Genoa City to know that family dynamics do not disappear after a wedding. If anything, marriage can make those conflicts stronger. So the real question may not be whether Billy meant to betray Sally. The real question may be whether Sally can trust him to protect their future when the pressure rises, especially when that pressure comes from Jill, Kane, or Chancellor. The situation with Chancellor could also become a major test for the relationship. Billy has been offered a chance to join the Chancellor team, and that opportunity carries emotional and professional weight. On one hand, Billy may see it as a chance to reclaim something important and prove that he still belongs in a world where power, legacy, and family names matter. Chancellor is not simply a company to him. It is tied to history, pride, and unfinished business. On the other hand, if he accepts the offer and ends up clashing with Kane Ashby, the consequences could spill directly into his romance with Sally. Kane is not likely to make things easy, and Billy is not known for backing down when he feels challenged. A workplace conflict between Billy and Kane could turn into late-night arguments, risky decisions, bruised egos, and divided loyalties. Sally may begin to feel that Billy is being pulled into another battle that he cannot resist, one that could distract him from their relationship and from the life they are supposed to be building together. But if Billy refuses the Chancellor opportunity, that could create problems too. Sally may start questioning whether Billy is truly as committed to Chancellor as he claims to be. If he really cares about the company, would he not take any legitimate chance to work there, even if the role is not perfect? Would he not swallow his pride and prove himself from the inside, rather than standing on the outside criticizing every move? Sally is ambitious enough to understand that opportunities are rarely perfect. Sometimes a person has to step into a difficult position and turn it into something greater. If Billy hesitates, Sally may interpret that hesitation as another sign that he wants the title, the respect, and the emotional validation, but not necessarily the discipline required to earn them. That could sting because Sally has fought hard for every inch of ground she has gained. She knows what it means to be judged before she even enters the room. If she begins to feel that Billy is chasing a fantasy version of success rather than doing the hard work, resentment could grow quickly. This is why the wedding date itself may be a warning sign. The fact that Sally and Billy's wedding is planned for October gives the writers plenty of time to let doubts, arguments, and outside pressures build. In the world of the young and the restless, couples who seem too confident often face the harshest tests before they make it to the altar. A long engagement can look romantic at first, but it also creates space for secrets to come out, loyalties to shift, and small disagreements to become major breaking points. If the wedding were only a few weeks away, Sally and Billy might be able to rush forward on emotion and momentum. But with months ahead of them, every unresolved issue has time to breathe. Every argument with Jill, every business conflict involving Kane, every moment when Billy fails to fully consider Sally's perspective could plant another seed of doubt in her mind. By the time October arrives, Sally may not be asking whether she loves Billy. She may be asking whether love is enough. That distinction is crucial because Sally is not someone who gives up easily on love, but she is also not the same woman she once was. She has been burned before. She has chased dreams that slipped through her fingers, trusted people who disappointed her, and made choices that left her vulnerable. Her growth has come from learning that passion alone cannot carry a life. She needs respect, honesty, emotional consistency, and someone who can stand beside her without turning every challenge into a personal war. Billy, for all his charm and sincerity, still struggles with impulse. He wants to be better, and there are times when he truly is better. But Sally may begin to wonder if she is betting her entire future on a man who still allows old wounds to guide new decisions. A marriage cannot survive on promises alone, especially when business, family, and pride keep testing those promises. There is also the possibility of a baby entering the picture, which could turn an already fragile situation into a full emotional earthquake. If Sally and Billy are facing the possibility of becoming parents, then every disagreement suddenly becomes more serious. A wedding is one kind of commitment, but a child is another level entirely. Sally may start looking at Billy not only as the man she loves, but as the potential father of her child. That could force her to examine him more carefully. Is he stable enough? Can he put the family first? Can he control his temper? Can he keep private matters private? Can he make decisions without being pulled apart by Jill, Kane, Chancellor, or his own need to prove himself? These questions would not mean that Sally does not love him. They would mean that she is thinking like someone who understands the stakes. If a baby is involved, Sally may feel she has to protect more than her own heart. Billy, meanwhile, could feel judged and misunderstood. From his perspective, he may believe he is trying. He may feel that Sally is focusing too much on one mistake and not enough on all the ways he has supported her. He may remind her that he did not intentionally expose her secret to hurt her. He may argue that Jill already had influence, that Kane's presence complicates everything, and that he is doing his best to navigate a difficult situation. But Billy's problem has never been a lack of feeling. His problem is often the gap between intention and impact. He may mean well, but Sally still has to live with the consequences when his emotions override his judgment. If he cannot understand that, their arguments could become circular. Sally will keep asking for accountability, while Billy will keep asking for grace. Neither request is unreasonable, but if neither of them feels heard, the relationship could enter dangerous territory. Jill's role may be especially important because she represents more than just a business investor or Billy's mother. She represents the kind of powerful outside force that could test Sally's place in Billy's life. If Jill pushes Billy to make certain choices, will he stand firm with Sally, or will he bend under the weight of his mother's expectation now? If Jill begins to view Sally as a complication, will Billy defend her clearly, or will he try to keep peace in a way that leaves Sally exposed? Sally may be willing to handle Jill's skepticism, but she will not want to feel like she is fighting alone. The moment Sally feels that Billy is more concerned with Jill's approval than with protecting their partnership, the engagement could begin to crumble. Jill may not even need to directly attack the relationship. All she has to do is create enough pressure for Billy's weaknesses to show. Kane's position at Chancellor adds another layer because it could revive Billy's competitive instincts. Billy has spent much of his life trying to prove that he is more than the reckless Abbott's son, more than the man people expect to fail, more than the person who ruins good things when he gets restless. Kane's authority could provoke him, especially if Billy feels dismissed or blocked. Sally may initially support his desire to prove himself, but she could become alarmed if his focus turns obsessive. She has her own career, her own future, and her own emotional needs. She cannot afford to become a supporting character in Billy's endless battle for validation. If Billy begins treating Chancellor like the center of his identity, Sally may question where she and their wedding fit into his priorities. The more he insists that everything is under control, the more she may see signs that it is not. The tragedy of this possible breakup is that Sally and Billy do have real love between them. Their relationship is not empty. It is not based only on convenience or attraction. They have given each other comfort during vulnerable moments, and they have both wanted to believe that this time could be different. That is why the coming conflict could hurt so much. Sally may not cancel the wedding because she stops loving Billy. She may cancel it because she loves him but no longer trusts the life they are building. That would make the decision even more painful. Walking away from someone you no longer love is one thing. Walking away from someone you still love because the future feels unsafe is much harder. Sally may find herself caught between the woman who wants to fight for the relationship and the woman who refuses to ignore warning signs. If Sally does call off the wedding, Billy could spiral emotionally. He may feel abandoned, rejected, and furious that one mistake turned into a broken engagement. But deep down, he may also know that it was not just one mistake. It was the secret with Jill, the uncertainty over Chancellor, the tension with Kane, the doubts about his commitment, and the fear that he still has not learned how to make calm decisions when everything around him gets complicated. The cancellation of the wedding could become a wake-up call for Billy, forcing him to confront whether he truly wants to change or only wants people to believe he has changed. The difference matters. Sally cannot build a marriage on potential. She needs proof. At the same time, Sally would not walk away untouched. She would likely be devastated, embarrassed, and conflicted, especially if the wedding plans had already become public or if a baby storyline is involved. She may wonder whether she is repeating old patterns of choosing complicated men and hoping love will transform them. She may blame herself for trusting too quickly, or she may blame Billy for making her doubt something that once felt solid. But Sally's strength has always come from her ability to survive emotional disasters and rebuild herself. If she cancels the wedding, it will not be because she is weak. It will be because she finally recognizes that commitment should not require her to silence every instinct screaming that something is wrong. For now, The biggest question is whether Billy and Sally can address these issues before they become irreversible. Billy still has time to prove that he can respect Sally's trust, make thoughtful choices, and stop allowing Jill, Kane, and Chancellor to control the emotional temperature of his life. Sally still has time to decide whether this conflict is a temporary storm or a clear warning of deeper incompatibility. But with the wedding set for October, the road ahead looks anything but smooth. The longer the engagement stretches, the more opportunities there will be for old habits to return, private doubts to grow, and outside forces to interfere. In Genoa City, love rarely falls apart all at once. It usually breaks slowly, one secret, one argument, and one painful realization at a time. So, will Sally Spectra call off her wedding to Billy Abbott? The answer may depend on whether Billy can prove that he is not just in love with Sally but truly ready to be her partner. He cannot simply say the right things after the damage is done. He has to show her that her trust is safe with him, that her ambitions matter, and that their future will not always come second to his unresolved battles with family, business, and pride. If he fails, Sally may decide that the most loving thing she can do for herself, and possibly for her baby, is to stop the wedding before heartbreak becomes permanent. But if Billy finally learns from this moment, if he chooses honesty over defensiveness and partnership over impulse, then perhaps this crisis could become the test that makes them stronger. For now, however, the signs are troubling, and Y&R fans should prepare for a tense, emotional road ahead as Sally and Billy's romance faces one of its biggest tests yet.